Hello, everyone, and I mean everyone. Welcome to episode 41 of the Anime Banter podcast with your hosts, Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Doing pretty good. I really enjoyed these episodes that we're going to be discussing today.
Yeah, Frieren rocks.
So good.
Yeah, I really want to see where this is going.
But before we get into that, I gotta ask you guys, have you been playing any good games and excited to move into this new year? What new stuff's coming out you guys are looking forward to?
You want to start, Sean, or you want me to start?
Let's see about what I'm looking forward to
And what you're playing.
and what I'm playing. Okay, so what I'm playing now, I've got back into Destiny 2 a little bit.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, I'm sure people listening to this who are just going to boo me
Boo.
because the hostility that I face from people sometimes when I mention this game, and people are like, "Man, it's a bad game." And I'm just talking about our friend Dan, who every time I mention Destiny 5 has to say how much it sucks. But like there are other people I've talked to and they're like, "Oh yeah, that game's so bad." And I'm like, "Why?" Like why do people keep saying this? I don't know. May have something to do with people. Apparently Bungie was going to go bankrupt this year. If
Oh,
they released that if they didn't sell the company to Sony, they were going to go bankrupt.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Poor
Um.
Bungie.
Yeah, it was not going well for them, which explains why they missed their revenue projections by like 50%.
Oof.
Yeah, not good. But I'm taking a trip soon, and I need a good game to play on the Switch on the plane ride, and I'm gonna pick up Atelier Ryza 2. If you, fans of the podcast will have realized I talked to Atelier Ryza 1 a few times, and I'm about to start the sequel. I'm still playing Baldur's Gate. I still haven't beaten my first playthrough. I'm like 150 hours in. I still haven't beaten it because I like to pick up every single item
You gotta
for no
explore,
reason.
right?
Yeah, yeah, I guess. Well, I don't pick up all the rotten food, I guess, but it's all the stuff I pick up. So I'm doing that, and of course, I'm still playing Final Fantasy 14. And speaking of Final Fantasy 14 and Destiny 2, we're getting expansions for both of those games this year, probably in June. So I cursed them for releasing their expansions potentially in the same month. I'm not going to be okay with that if they choose to do it. So taking a look at some of the other stuff that's coming out this year, I just found out there's a roguelite Blaze Blue game coming out for PC on January 31st. I hadn't even heard of that, and I do like the Blaze Blue series, so we'll see. Besides that, though, it's looking like a pretty dark year of gaming for me. Not a lot of stuff in the pipeline is really interesting me, but the reason for that is mostly I'm still so behind. I still haven't finished Persona 5.
Persona 6 is going to come out by the time you're done with Persona 5.
Yeah, and then there's oh, what's the other thing? Oh, I just got my hands on Resident Evil Village, and I haven't started that yet because I haven't finished the Resident Evil 7 DLC. So there's that. Oh, one thing I guess I did forget about this year, if it comes out this year, Visions of Mana. There was a new game in the Mana series, and I'm considering
Yes.
picking it up because they kind of revamped it recently. There was like 3D versions of Secret of Mana and Second and Setsu 3, Trials of Mana, and in a 3D version, and that kind of interests me to see where the next one would be going. So looking forward to that. But how about you guys?
Go ahead, Mike.
So I'm still playing Destiny 2, much to the chagrin of some of our friends, but
Boo.
I will say I've cut back on my Destiny 2 playtimes.
Yay.
Yeah, I took a big break, and I'm finally just coming back now after pretty much missing the entire last season.
I mean, sometimes with the games like that, you need to take a break just to avoid the burnout. Because how many times can you do the same strike, same GM, same dungeon, same raid, yada yada yada, over and over and over again?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Um, I'm pretty much to the point of it's like, all right, do this seasonal story content, do like some other fun stuff, but it's like, After that, it's like, all right, I'm gonna go play some other stuff. So for Christmas, games that I'm playing currently, I got Super Mario Wonder, and that game is
Hey.
amazing.
Nice.
They really did well in the go back to a 2D Mario game. Would definitely recommend it if you are a Mario fan. Turtle, I know you're not much into platformers.
I'm just so bad at them, it's embarrassing.
Yeah, Turtle and I shared that skill level.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah.
And then I also got the new Star Wars Jedi Survivor game, the latest in the Fallen Order series. I'm not too far into that. I think I'm only like 2 or 3 hours in. But I really
Do
like.
you get to choose your lightsaber color?
Yes.
What is your lightsaber color?
Do you want to take a guess?
Ooh, I'm gonna guess yellow.
Let's say I don't know why I'm getting orange.
You are both incorrect.
No, red.
Nope.
Ah,
You are both incorrect. The answer is purple because of Mace
gosh dang it.
Windu.
Fair, fair.
No, that's such a
I,
good one.
I mean, if Samuel L. Jackson can use it, so am I.
That's fair. It looks really good.
It does. It's like, okay, I can pick purple. Sweet. Going for my Mace Windu goodness. But for games coming out this year in Q1, I'm really looking forward to the Prince of Persia The Lost Crown game, which comes out on January 18th. And that is a Metroidvania style Prince of Persia game. But the art looks fantastic on it. And I like a good Metroidvania from time to time. So very much looking forward to that. I don't think it's going to be too much cost wise. In February, looking forward to Persona 3 Reload because I never played P3. So very much looking forward to that. But the big game that I'm looking forward to in February is FF7 Rebirth, which comes out February 29th. And I'm sort of glad Destiny did push back Final Shape because that was coming out like the week before Rebirth came out. So at least I want to like rush the campaign or try and fight for time between the two. So very excited for FF7 Rebirth. And then in March, very much looking forward to Unicorn Overlord and Princess Peach Showtime, as well as I'm keeping my eye on Rise of the Ronin for the PlayStation 5. I think it'll be another banger of year for video games.
It seems like it so far.
Turtle?
I definitely don't get a chance to play games as much as I would like to. However, before hopping on tonight here, I managed to beat the main campaign of Persona 5 Tactica, and I just started the DLC. So gonna get through that.
There's
And
DLC for that game already?
yeah, it actually came out release day.
That's weird.
Yeah, a little bit. Not real thrilled about that as far as DLC goes, but I'm a sucker for Persona, so shut up and take my money. I think when I'm done with this, I want to try to beat the that PSP re-release of the FF7 game. What I forget what it's called.
Crisis Core Reunion,
Price,
I
yeah.
believe.
I want to try to beat that in preparation for the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah.
I pre-ordered
Yeah.
I pre-ordered the game, which I usually don't do, and I pre-ordered what I'm calling the stupid edition, which comes with the statue because it's a lot of money. But again, shut up and take my money. I want it. Um,
Except you haven't shut up and had them take your money for the P3 collector's edition yet.
no, I did. I don't think I'm going to go big for that one. I'm definitely going to get the P3 reload. Um, obviously, since I'm playing Tactica, I'm a fan of the Persona series. I'm relatively new to the Persona series. I beat 5. I beat Royal. I beat 5 Scramble. I just, like I said, beat Tactica, and I'm doing the DLC. I have beat 4, though I got the bad ending. That was really my first playthrough of a Persona game. And I played like the first 10 minutes of 3 on the PS2, so I'm not real familiar with this one. So I'm very excited for the remake to actually sit down and play through that one. But besides the FF7 remake part 2, really not a whole lot else that I'm kind of looking for. The Persona 3 Reload. In March, there's the Unicorn Overlord. I did pre order that one, I'm pretty sure.
I was gonna say that feels like it's right up your alley with it being
It
a
does.
tactic game,
Yeah.
and the art of like a Octopath Traveler.
The artwork kinda sold me. I really like that art style. Um, There's been a lot of games doing that, but it looks so good. Having the pixel art in like a 3D space, something about it just screams video games and awesome to me. So I need it. There's also in April the Yuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. This is like the creator or one of the creators of the Suikoden series, which I've heard incredible things about, but I've never played. So I'm kind of anxious to get my hands on that at some point as well. And still waiting for an actual release for the physical version of Sea of Stars because I prefer physical releases as opposed to downloadable games. So I know they said early 2024, but I can't find a release date as of yet.
Should be a hell of a video game calendar coming up, and we're about to hit the cold months of winter, so we'll mean plenty of video game time
When I'm not editing,
and watching anime.
that's right. And anime is wonderful. Y'all should watch anime, and y'all should watch this show with us. So with that, you guys want to get into it?
Yup.
Let's do it.
Today we are talking about episodes 3 and 4 of Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. Episode 3, Killing Magic. 27 years after the death of Himmel the Hero, in the trade city of Worm, located in the Central Lands. Frieren and Fern are walking through the town, and Frieren decides to go shopping. Fern says they have all the supplies that they need and asks what Miss Frieren intends to buy. Frieren has this goofy look on her face and just replies with herbs and things of the like. I love the face Frieren has here. It's just really funny.
I love how Fern knows the face Frieren makes when she's about to make pointless purchases. She's like, oh no, she's gonna make stupid purchases and we don't have the money for that.
You think about it, I mean, she's pretty much just been traveling with this, with like Fern and Freon have been traveling together, just the two of them for like a really long time, and I guess they really have to like each other, or you learn someone's mannerisms when you're with someone that long.
Fern remembers some previous shopping, which includes Frieren buying a giant skull of some horned monster. And my favorite, I think, of this was a corrosive potion that only dissolves clothing,
I
to,
got a
whi-
good kick out of the
That killed
potion.
me.
to which Fern immediately replies, "Take it back."
That I was dying.
Like what would you need that potion for?
For as serious as a character that Frieren is, like all the time, I just love how she is like the silly character in this episode, and Fern is just trying to keep her in line.
Well, free rent's kind of like, so when you're as old as her, I guess, like, she's not saving for retirement. You know what I'm saying? Like free rent's kind of like, I'm a competent mage, so like money's not really that important. So like I'll just go from place to place and do whatever I want because I just need enough to live.
She really is like the definition of a free spirit where she just kind of wanders around. So the two of them split up and agree to meet at the inn later on, but Fern decides to follow Frieren to make sure she isn't wasting all of their money. Frieren stops to purchase an accessory at a little shop, and Fern thinks it's out of character, but it's okay for her to spend money like that once in a while. Then Frieren goes looking for some kind of dessert, and after going into a very quote unquote rough looking bar, it turns out all these patrons are adventurers who love sweets. This was very unexpected and it made me laugh.
I love that.
You got all these rough looking dudes and they're like, oh, sweets are our favorite thing. You've come to the right place. What?
This scene was absolutely wild. I was like, yeah, there's no way this is gonna end well, and I'm like, oh, never mind.
They're like, you
Yeah,
came to the right
it
place.
it did end well. Also, Freeren's not really scared of anything.
I love how Fern was like tracking her in the shadows. She's like, don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
After Fern finishes her shopping, she goes back to the inn to meet with Frieren, and she takes them both to a restaurant. And Frieren treats Fern to whatever she wants and reveals the accessory was a gift for Fern's birthday, and it is a butterfly hair ornament. The two spend a very sweet moment together. Get it? Sweet, like dessert? Haha, I'm so hilarious.
I see what you did there. I will say, I love that Fern said the same line about the pudding that Himmel said to trigger the flashback. But it was so sad that Frieren didn't like in the flashback that Frieren didn't know what everyone's favorite food was when they all dined together, besides Hyder, because
He likes booze.
yeah, his is obvious.
So we learn that Fern is now 16 years old, and she's taller than Frieren. The two decide to retrace the hero's journey whenever possible, so Frieren can see how important the journey was to her. What?
I was confused by this because she like Frieren wasn't even sure how important her travels were. It's like you slayed the Demon King, you saved the world. Like, how would you not think that's important? But like the friends you made along the way, it's like, well, were they important? Why were they important? It's like this was a 10-year journey. It's not like, oh, we went out for like an afternoon brunch or something.
Well, I guess when you live as long as Frieren does, she kind of views that as like just an afternoon brunch. It's just so baffling still to me, though. 27 years after the death of Himmel the hero, in the Gross Forest, located in the Central Lands. The two are training in the forest in defensive magic. Fern puts up a barrier to block Freeren's attack, but Freeren is able to attack in between Fern's magic. This whole scene is just really cool looking.
I really like this scene. I like how they use scenes like this, like these training scenes, to explain the magic system to us, the viewers. Like last time we got, okay, yeah, you have the mana and you have this and this. And now we have like the explanation of defense spells and like how like magic can be shot between them if they leave gaps and everything.
It's a very organic way to teach us how the magic of this world works. Like I buy it. Like I learned something about the world and didn't even think about it until later. Like, oh yeah, like they taught me how all that worked.
I think I mentioned this last time, like too many shows stare through the camera to you, the viewer, to explain things. This show just does it so organically by Freeren teaching Fern. They're teaching us at the same time, and it's not like, here's exposition dump. It's done so well. So the two of them stop at a small village to check on a magic seal that has held a demon general in place for 80 years. Now that the seal is unstable, Freeran is planning to undo the seal and defeat the demon Qual. I think that was his name, Qual. This is just a really great fight scene. Qual created the first piercing magic spell, Zoltrak, but after being sealed for 80 years, humanity has learned how the spell works and created a defense against it.
I have a couple notes about this scene.
Have at it, my friend.
Before they even start the fight against Quo and they met the older gentleman with the mustache, I was just wondering, like, what is up with this show and people with facial hair when their mouths don't move when they talk?
Easier to animate.
It is, but it's like it wasn't like his mustache was like that big. At least with eyes, and it makes sense. It's like, all right, he's all beard, but like his mustache wasn't that like going beyond his like upper lip.
At this point, I'm going to say it's a style choice, and I kind of like it because it makes me laugh.
And then I loved the art on the Quell flashback whenever they first sealed him away. I thought that was really cool.
The art in this show in general is just absolutely incredible to me.
Yeah, it's a who's the studio on this?
I actually don't know. Shame
Let's
on
Google
me.
this. Free Rent Studio. Oh, Madhouse. That explains a lot.
Oh yeah. No, they're
Um,
pretty good.
yeah, they've done so much.
And then another thing that I found interesting was the fact that Frieren cares so much about the history of magic and how much it annoys her that Fern doesn't care to read about it. And like she keeps threatening to read it to her as like a bedtime story.
It's a fun little piece of like information where the whole episode Free Ren's like, "Hey, make sure you read about this. Make sure you read about this." And the reason why is because Free Ren was taking them to unseal and defeat Qual.
And like we really don't see Frieren caring too much about a lot of things.
Yeah, but were you guys like kind of worried whenever they went to meet Zoltrak? Like, I don't know why they're just like this dude's been sealed away for 80 years. He's super powerful, and like she's bringing Fern, and I'm like, I was like kind of nervous. I was like, what if something like what if this is one of those shows where they swerve you and like something really bad happens to Fern? you know.
You mean like Game of Thrones?
Well, not quite like that, but you know, um, but yeah, I guess it could have. You know, what if she got her arm blown off or something? You know what I mean? Like, it could have happened. I was like really, really, really nervous for Fern during this. Yeah, when they go to unseal this guy and Frieren, I was like, well, if this Frieren couldn't beat him before, do we know for sure that Frieren can beat him now?
I do love the trust that Frieren had in Fern, where, Frieren's like, I'm going to deal with him, but I need you to defend both of us.
I really like that as well. I also love the 80-year power creep we got.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, it was crazy. I just love the explanation when they go into the history. They're like, your ultimate powerful spell is just what we call attack magic, and it's like it's the first spell every mage learns, and every mage knows how to defend against it easily. But it makes sense, right? I mean, technology increases. If you were a man, say, depending on the time period, right? I think about like feudal Japan, where if you were a samurai and you were frozen for 80 years and then you woke up and looks like Nobunaga, I'm sorry, yeah, Nobunaga won the war, and you're just surrounded by a bunch of guys with guns. You know what I mean? You're like, "Oh, my sword isn't going to do anything against these guns." But I also never saw these guns, so I don't know that they're necessarily better. I don't know. It's not the same kind of equivalency, but technology increases in magic and technology are one and the same here in some ways.
Absolutely. I do like how, like, when Qual is unsealed and unfrozen, and the fight starts, he sees the defensive magic, and he's actually able to copy the spell right on the spot, and he figures it out just by seeing it once. It's a great way of showing, like, this demon is an incredible mage, and had he had time to prepare, he might have been able to win, but he had no time, and Free Ren just roasted him. But great animation, great scene, cool fight. So the episode ends with our two mages winning the battle and riding away on a cart to their next adventure.
Before we complete this episode, I will, and they ride off into the sunset. I love the flashback, like how Friedrich recognized the person who asked them to like fix the seal was a young kid that flipped up Friedrich's skirt back in the day, and how pissed Himmel got about it. And he's like, "I've been waiting ages to do that."
I love Himmel. He makes me laugh.
Like Himmel's not even trying to hide the crush at that point.
Nope. I have a feeling these flashbacks are just going to show progressively, like it be progressively more and more in your face, and she's going to be like, "What? He liked me?"
And then one thing that I noted whenever they were riding off into the sunset on the cart was Frieren patted Fern on the head, and she hates being patted, her head being patted.
I do love the callback to the flashback with that. I don't know about you guys, but I'm feeling a little thirsty. Mike, why don't you hit us with something tasty?
Ah, you're thirsty, you say. Sounds like it's time for Mike's Beer of the Week. This week's beer is the Boulevard Cinnamon Bun Ale, a 9.5% Imperial Brown Ale that might as well be a liquid cinnamon bun. I got all the cinnamon, gooey goodness of a cinnamon bun, and all that was missing was the icing. I will say this beer is sneaky AF for being a 9.5% beer. It doesn't taste boozy at all. And if you are a cinnamon bun fan, you owe it to yourself to get this beer because it is so freaking good. Like, I cannot put into words how well they got this beer to taste a cinnamon bun. Like, it's fantastic. You will love this beer. Trust me. If you love cinnamon buns, you will love this beer. The average untapped rating is a 3.75, and I give it a 4.
Episode 4: The Land Where Souls Rest. 28 years after the death of Himmel the Hero, at the Grand's Channel, located in the Central Lands. So a whole year's gone by since the last episode, and the two girls come down to a town by the coast. The beach is usually beautiful, but is now covered with shipwreckage and debris. I know it's pronounced debris. I'm just gonna announce this here. I always say debris, so roll with me. The elder asks if they can clean up the coast, and as payment, he gives Frieren a tome by the mage Flamma. The English dub calls her Flamma. I don't know. It's spelled Flamme. To me, that's like flam, but they call her Flamma. I don't know. And Frieren agrees, but we find out that the book is a fake. But Frieren says she's going to do it anyway, and she's doing it for herself.
Every time I see a short, older person with facial hair in this show, I wonder if it's an older Aizen.
Could it be?
It is not.
We eventually see Aizen.
Shh, don't spoil it.
Shh. You have to listen for another 10 or 15 minutes to hear about that.
I don't even know if it'll be that long. It begins to snow in town as Fern is out buying breakfast. After she returns to the inn, we find Frieren is still asleep, and this just killed me. She's laying in bed with no covers on and a book just covering her face. How is she not cold? It's winter.
I mean, she has magical powers, so she might be able to like set her body temperature.
Dude, I wish I had that power.
Saying I'm tired of being cold.
I know, I'm always hot.
I'm always cold.
I'm always cold. I wish I could just auto adjust me.
I got a huge kick of Frieren sleeping through her morning routine and like Fern like doing everything for her in the morning. Because it totally reminds me of myself when I have to wake up early to go into the office. Like when I go into my work office, I wake up at like 5 a.m. So it's like usually I like sleep through my shower and like brushing through my teeth. And it's like, it's so early. I don't want to do like don't wake me up to this or so like just watching Frieren sleep through it and have Fern take care of her. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I look like in the morning at 5 a.m.
It's so funny. Fern like has to wake her up, get her dressed, give her food, and literally like pull her out of the door to get her to leave. So after Fern drags Frieren out onto the beach, the two begin pulling all the debris from the water onto the beach in order to burn it. That's one heck of a fire, by the way. Holy crap.
I was thinking the same.
It's huge. Frieren is asked by the elder if she will be done cleaning the beach by the time of their New Year's festival. Frieren says it should be, and the elder asks her to stay for the festival this time.
Yeah, I want to. I do want to go back to the fire though. I was like, there had to be something better they could do with that wood, right?
I don't know. I mean, it's been soaking in the water for how long? I mean, how long did they get it to dry out to actually burn it?
Yeah, I mean, good point. But I was like, man, I feel like they would have smoked out the people in the town next door with how much there was.
That's fair too. That was a big fire. And then we get another montage.
Montage!
Montage! We get to see the two girls cleaning up all the ship debris. And at one point, they even find a skeleton of a pirate captain.
This montage had me dying.
Oh, it's so good. They also find this treasure chest, and I really expected Frieren to fall in it and be another mimic joke, but not this time. It's just a regular chest.
Oh, and they opened it expecting there to be treasure. Instead, there was just seaweed.
But Frieren seemed pretty excited about it, though.
Yeah, probably some sort of magical ingredient.
I will say, in the flashback, it took me a little bit of time to figure out the voice actors, but in the flashback, it finally clicked on who Himmel's voice actor is and who Aizen's voice actor is. So Himmel's voice actor does Bakugo from My Hero.
Which I did not put together because he's all angry as Bakugo. He's screaming the whole time.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I didn't put that together either.
Every once in a while, you'll get like a little bit of anger from Himmel, and then it's like, oh, okay, I can really hear it at that point.
Yeah.
And then Aizen's voice actor is Ainz from Overlord.
Einzul go.
Yeah, every time Eisen talks, that's all I hear is Ainz from Overlord.
So after the beach is all clean, Frieren says she is not going to sleep tonight so she can watch the sunrise for the festival because, she can't wake up in the morning. So, of course, she sits in her bed and reads a book and then falls asleep. And Fern has to wake her up and rush the two outside to watch the sunrise. Frieren notes that the sunrise is pretty, but not worth waking up early, and I agree. I hate waking up early. Fern then comments on how pretty the sunrise is, which makes Frieren happy that Fern is happy. And I think Frieren is starting to understand emotions just a little bit more now.
During this scene, I thought it was crazy how Frieren was the only person between the flashback and like the current day who couldn't understand how beautiful the sunrise was for the festival. Like it fits her character, but it's like, and I'm sure she has seen millions of sunrises and sunsets, but it's like this is a special sunrise.
I really feel like that Frieren is like an infant when it comes to emotions, where she just doesn't experience them the same way and doesn't understand them, which is actually interesting. I don't really know of any character that I've seen in any other property that like doesn't understand emotions.
Yeah, she's struggling with that.
She has them, but it seems like they're not like real strong, and she doesn't understand how humans have so much emotion. It's interesting. 28 years after the death of Himmel the hero, in the Brett region, located in the Central Lands. We meet Eisen again! I love this guy.
He's still rocking the beard.
Oh, absolutely. Frieren asks if there is something that they can do for Eisen, to which he responds that he's not dying yet, but asks if they can help him find a legendary tome of Flamma that resides in the forest somewhere. Apparently, Hyder was researching it for Eisen.
I love how they're like, oh, it's in a tree. It's like we're in a forest. We're surrounded by trees.
They're everywhere. But we get another montage of the heroes searching for the tree and Flamma's notes.
I got a good kick out of this montage whenever Friedren and Eisen were taking a nap, and Fern just like shakes her head in a disapproving manner, like, come on, we should be working. It's like, Fern, not everyone can be as youthful as you are.
I also loved how Eisen was sleeping upside down.
That was good.
I also like that part. There's a lot of good like visual comedy in this show.
We then get a flashback to Flamma and a young Frieren. Flamma tells Frieren to come back to this little sapling if she ever needs help contacting her friends who have passed on. The now large tree, in our time, opens up to reveal the notes that they were looking for. And of course, they're already open to the page about heaven.
I loved this flashback. Like, it was so cool to see a young Frieren with her master. And even when she was younger, she's like, I don't want to get to know people. Why would I want to do that?
One thing it makes me want to do is learn about the other elves in the series. She's the only one we've really seen, and I want to know, like, does she get her mindset from like growing up with other elves? Does she get her mindset from like her parents? Like, I understand that she lives long, but I feel like the her longevity would, or the anticipation of her longevity would lend to her building that mindset about like, why make friends with people? They're just gonna die anyway. But if she didn't grow up around a bunch of elves, I don't know how she would have come to that conclusion necessarily. Unless it was kind of like molded by other people. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I give don't give her enough credit on her potential, in air quotes, wisdom.
So the notes tell of the land called Ariole, the land where the souls rest. There, Flamma was able to speak to the dead and talk with her allies long gone. Frieren decides to travel there to speak with Himmel again. She decides to take the same path the hero's party took. Strap in, boys. We embark on a 10-year journey.
I did find it interesting that this city that they're traveling to is the same place where the Demon King's palace resides.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting to me. Like how that castle has been there for like what 85 years at least.
At least, because I mean, we don't know how long the Demon King ruled for.
So did he build his castle on top of this place? I'm very interested to actually reach it to figure out what's going on here.
I will say, I'm glad we finally get what I'm hoping is the overarching quest for at least this season, if not for the show. Like, I like the weekly. Oh, here's our magic quest for some potion, but like to have an overarching goal, I'm very excited for. I really hope they don't be like, okay, it went for 5 episodes. We're good. On to something new.
Yeah, I was actually pretty worried that it was just gonna be a series of anecdotes. You know what I mean? Like like, oh, 1 year later, 1 year later. But yeah, we're gonna have an overarching plot. But it seems like it might take them 10 years to get there.
A literal 10 years.
Yeah.
10 seasons.
I'm in. If it keeps going at this quality, I'm in. So as a whole, what did you guys think of these episodes?
Sean, you want to start us off?
Sure. Yeah. The my two favorite parts were the second half of each episode, but I liked the pacing where the first half of each episode was kind of like a very light story, and then it got a little heavy in the second half. Like the magic and the action and the history we got of the world. Um, in the first half where they defeat that demon guy whose name I can't remember, and then meeting back up with Eisen. I'm glad that Eisen's still still kicking and not dead like the other companions. But I guess dwarves live longer than humans, it seems. But yeah, this was really cool. Seeing my favorite part is probably Frieren with her master. I'd really like to dig into that more and see what that was like.
What about you, Mike?
I really liked how episode 3 showed how much Frieren trusted Fern and how far Fern has come along in such a short period as a mage. And then in episode 4, I really liked how we saw how far along Fern came along when it came to the history of magic. Like, Freeren's like, you have to read, you have to read, you have to read. And she's like, I don't want to. And then, like, she actually showed that she did read. So I really I liked how Fern was able to point out the fake tome at the start of episode 4. So I really liked both of those episodes. I thought they were both really well done. I really liked the character development we got. I will say I'm really hoping that finding RLA is the overarching story quest, and we don't keep getting a bunch of like little one-offs. Like, it's fine in short doses where it's like, obviously, if it's a 10-year journey, they're not just gonna get there tomorrow. But I'm also really glad we got less time skips in these two episodes, because that was one of my gripes with the first two episodes was there were too many time jumps for like big time jumps, and like even the time jumps here where it's like, okay, it's like 6 months later and now it's 6 months later from that. Like, that's fine. We're not jumping 50 years and then another 25 years.
They had to move the plot along. We're skipping to the important stuff. I don't know what I can say about these two episodes that I haven't mentioned in just this and even in like the previous episode of ours that I love the show. I love the art, I love the characters, and these two episodes in particular get a much deeper dive into who Frieren is and her personality, and also a deeper dive into Fern and how she's growing up, under the tutelage of Frieren. So I love both these episodes. I have no complaints at all about this show in any way. It's great. But now it is time for the waifu of the week. Sean, who is your waifu of the week?
I went outside the box a little bit and I chose Flama. I think that I really liked her character design. She's obviously an ultra powerful mage, and I feel like we could gain a lot by learning more about her and Freeren's relationship. I have a feeling we're going to meet her in Ariel, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing more of her.
Mike, who is your waifu of the week?
I'm going to go with Fern this week. I had a tough time figuring out who I wanted to pick. Part of me wanted to pick Eisen just because I felt like we weren't going to be able to see Eisen for much more. But I went Fern. It was just really cool to see how much progress she has made being a mage in such a short time. And like, it was cool to see Frieren trust her with the defense spell against Qual. And how serious she ended up taking the history of magic after Frieren told her a couple times, like, you need to know this. Like, this is important.
And my waifu of the week, I'm choosing Frieren. Like I mentioned before, I like how, especially in like episode 3, we start to get more of a deeper dive into Frieren's character, and we get to learn about who she is and how she behaves a little bit. Yeah, she's just really fun. And like in episode 4, we learn about her sleeping in habits, and she doesn't want to wake up, and she's cold, and we get to just see more expressions from her that we haven't really seen a whole lot of yet. So I'm gonna go with the obvious answer, Frieren. She's a lot of fun. Thank you all for joining us this week as we watched Frieren Beyond Journey's End. We hope you join us next week for episode 42 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will watch episodes 5 and 6 of Frieren. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Sean, do you have anything you would like to plug?
As usual, the Deepman Files podcast, DEITTMAN Files. Please give us a listen.
Mike, do you have anything you would like to plug?
Yeah, it's the Anime Banter podcast, which we can be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, and YouTube.
And you can always find me on my other YouTube channel, RPG Treasure Trove. Please check it out. Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to you next week.